I've had so many moments that are these pinch me moments, you know, where you go, is this real life?
Yeah.
I can't believe that I'm experiencing this right now.
Are you writing this down? Are you taking it all in?
You know, that's something that I need to do more of.
Turn the tape. The greatest show on earth.
Tell me about the standing ovation that you had in Cannes. Was that the most profound experience of your
It
life?
was the most magical night of my life. Because
Yeah.
I'd worked 3 years on this movie, and suddenly now, and I waited to see the movie in Cannes. Everybody else had seen the movie prior, and so I waited, and then I thought, you know what, why don't I just wait for Cannes?
Yeah.
And so I did, and I was so happy I did, because walking that carpet and then walking inside, the lights go down, and getting to feel the energy of the audience, and then the reception afterwards, it was so surreal and magical.
And I love how Tom Hanks made sure the camera was on you.
Yeah,
that was so
sweet.
beautiful.
Yeah, he's so supportive
Yeah.
and wonderful.
There are some who'd make me out to be the villain of this here story.
He had seen sort of how immersed I was in it, and how I didn't really live any life outside of it. And he said, you know, in the future, in order to have longevity and keep your sanity, one thing I do is every day when I'm on set, I try to take at least 10 minutes and do something that has nothing to do with the job. And so he reads a book on history that has nothing to do with that time, and that was a great thing to sort of get that permission to, you know. So when I went to London and I filmed right after, I took up pottery and I got into that. And
Oh my!
I
Are you
had
good
my
at
own-
it?
I'm pretty good, I would say. Yeah.
You have like a stack of like pots you've made.
Yeah,
in your
yeah.
house?
I've got vases and
Wow.
ashtrays and
You can start
bowls
selling
and
them, make a side business.
yeah, yeah.
I love that.
love
And I read how the film obviously like took a lot out of you. Are you okay now? Like how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm
Like,
okay now.
You're okay
yeah,
now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It took a lot, you know.
Yeah.
It was 2 years where I didn't see my family, I didn't see my friends. I didn't get sick the whole time. That was what was so crazy, is the momentum of it kept me you know, energetic the entire time. And then as soon as I wrapped, then I was in the hospital and I was bedridden for a week. So it's kind of crazy how that happened.
Yeah, but you're good now. That's
I'm good
all that
now.
matters.
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
film's out and it's
Yeah.
so exciting.
Yeah, I
It's
feel
great.
very happy now.
Like I was saying before, I didn't grow up with Elvis, but for many, he was their icon growing
Yeah.
up. So for you, when you were growing up, who was one of your icons?
I had a lot, because you know, I was acting at a young age, and so it was honestly seeing James Dean in East of Eden. I watched that every day when I first saw that, and I was just blown away by his vulnerability and his strength at the same time. And so it was James Dean, it was Marlon Brando on the waterfront, and De Niro and his collaborations with Scorsese, and so yeah, those were some of my icons.
Yeah. And what would you do if you worked with some of your icons now? Like, is that obviously a dream, like to work with like De Niro? like,
Absolutely.
imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. I mean, and I have been so fortunate to get to work with. I mean, some of the icons I didn't mention are Leo.
Yeah.
You know, he was that guy for me. Leo, Brad, Denzel, Tom. So all of them I had been my heroes, and suddenly now I'm on set with them, and on a director level, Quentin and Baz, those were two of the people that I'd admired so much since I was 12 years old, and so suddenly now I'm getting to experience what it feels like working with them.
Yeah.
And there's so many other people out there that are my heroes that I can't wait to work with.
What was it like getting advice from Leo? Like, that must have been so surreal.
Unbelievable,
like,
so surreal.
looking up to him your whole life, and then
Yeah.
one day he's giving you advice,
Yeah.
like, during filming. Like, what's that like?
It's just, I've had so many moments that are these pinch me moments, you know, where you go, is this real life?
Yeah.
I can't believe that I'm experiencing this right now.
Are you writing this down? Are you taking it all in?
You know, that's something that I need to do more
Do.
of. I have written down certain things, but I need to do that more. You get caught up in the whirlwind of it, and by the end of the day, you're so tired.
Yeah.
But I should take a couple minutes at the end of the day and write it down.
Definitely, yeah. Because the you in like 5 years would love to read it back.
Yeah, for sure.
What has the support from your loved ones been like?
I mean, so incredibly supportive. It's hard, you know. I saw my dad. My dad came to Cannes, and he'd never been outside the country. He'd been to Mexico, but other than that, he'd never been outside the continent. And so he's here in France, and he got to see the movie, and it was really special for me because he was so patient and understanding when I didn't see him for 2 years, and it actually was 3 years because I then was in London doing something else. But during the course of Elvis, where we didn't talk much, and when we did, I didn't sound like me, and you know, he was very understanding, and same thing with my friends and the rest of my family.
One thing I liked about the film is there was this line that Elvis had: "If you dream it, do it."
Yeah.
So in terms of your dreams, like what's next on the list? Like what's
There's a
some
lot
of
of
the other
dreams.
dreams?
There's a lot. I've always wanted to work with Paul Thomas Anderson, and I hope that can happen one day.
Yeah. Was
Yeah.
getting June 2 one of your dreams fulfilled as well?
Yeah, because Denis, I mean, he really is like our Stanley Kubrick. You know, he's such a brilliant, generous, kind filmmaker, and cinematically, I mean, he's creating things that are so breathtaking.
Yeah.
And I loved the first film, so the opportunity to get to work with him on this, I'm just immensely grateful.
Knocking at your door.
He's a young singer from Memphis, Tennessee. Give him a warm hayride welcome, Mr. Elvis Presley.
Get a haircut, buttercup!
In that moment, I watched that skinny boy transform into a superhero.
And also in the movie, there was a reference to Elvis, and he made a promise to buy a Cadillac.
Yeah.
Did you promise your younger self that you'd buy something in the future, and have you done that since?
I didn't promise
You
myself,
didn't?
not really.
Okay.
I had certain things, like I wanted certain guitars or,
Yeah.
or that sort of thing, so I've treated myself to some things like that. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite guitar of yours?
Yeah, actually, so this guitar right here is a Hagstrom Viking, and I didn't purchase it for myself, but somebody very close to me, as a gift, bought me the same guitar.
Wow.
It's a 1965, and it's
beautiful.
unbelievable.
That's
So it's
amazing.
such a pretty guitar. Mine's a different color. This is the red one. Mine's the Starburst, but I love it so
That's
much.
still so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But on that, like the costumes in this film were just incredible.
They're amazing,
They're
aren't they?
and
Yeah.
you wear them really well. They
Thank
really
you.
suit you.
Thank you.
So did you ever take anything on set as a little memento?
When I rapped, Baz gave me a framed. So the last performance of Unchained Melody is.
Which is incredible.
oh,
One of my
thank you.
favorites.
Thank
oh
you.
my god.
And that was a song that I sang for my first tape that I sent to Baz. And so the moment that I rapped, as you're all kind of going around to the crew and saying, "Great job, guys! We got through this all together." And he brought this out, and it was a frame that had they cut out the back of the jumpsuit. And so there's a medallion on the back of the Unchained Melody jumpsuit, and so I have that on my wall at home.
Oh, to look at that every day
Yeah.
must feel so amazing.
It's remarkable, yeah.
I have to ask, what does it feel like to behold such an icon? Like, how does that feel? Like, every day you must wake up and think, wow, like, I've done this.
Yeah, it was such a responsibility the whole
Yeah.
time, and there was a lot of pressure involved in that. But ultimately, it was just the greatest privilege. And now, and you also don't know what the outcome's going to be, like I was saying. So now that it's out, and some people have seen it and hearing the reception, for the whole time I was just focused on the process. I kind of rested in the fact that you never know what the outcome's going to be. So let's revel in the process. And now getting to be linked to one of the most remarkable artists of all time is really special.
Oh my god. In the credits at the end, when it had that little title that said Elvis remains one of the greatest solo
Yeah.
artists, I got chills. Like, it
You
was
did?
just so
Yeah.
like, wow.
It's amazing, isn't it?
You've made me fall in love with him, honestly. So
Oh,
I have
I'm so
that to
glad.
thank you for that.
I'm
My
so
last
happy.
question. So for Elvis, gospel music is what got his soul pumped and on fire. So for you, what gets you in the zone? Like, what kind of music are you feeling? Like, what lights your heart on fire? Besides Elvis, of course.
Yeah, it depends on the day.
Depends on the day.
I really, I had the most amazing experience when we were about a month after I got to Park. Baz and I went to Nashville and Memphis. We took this little road trip, but in Nashville, what we did was we recorded the gospel numbers in the film. And we were in this church that had been built in the 1800s, this tiny little wooden church with 30 of the most incredible gospel singers. And I just was in the center of them while they're singing these gospel numbers. But they weren't singing to perform. The guy who was leading it, somebody very close to him was in the process of dying as this was going on. And he's the one who was leading all the singers. And at one point he said, I've got something to wail about today, and I know all of you do too. So this isn't about singing a song, this is about our souls colliding and us wailing together. And they started singing and just tears poured down my face. Wow. And so that really stuck with me as like one of the most emotional experiences and spiritual experiences I've ever had.
You caught the spirit, oh my God.
Yeah, for sure.
Hits Radio.